No, the world isn't literally shrinking, but for humans, it kind of is. Up until 500 years ago, nobody had ever even circumnavigated the globe, but nowadays, anyone can do this in a couple days just by paying a couple $1,000s. Therefore, in the perspective of today's humans, the world is much smaller than it used to be. In the time that it took for the first circumnavigation of the world, today's humans could fly to Mars and back twice. Think about this. To today's human, the moon seems significantly closer than America seemed to Europeans in the 16th century when the first voyages departed. It only takes humans 3 days to go to the moon, versus over 2 months for the colonists to go to America. Up until 1693, nobody had ever been able to circumnavigate the globe as a tourist, as in paying for their own transit on public transport. Gemelli Carreri was the first person to do this feat, and it took him 5 years. David Springbett has the current record for this accomplishment, with his journey from Los Angeles to London to Bahrain to Singapore to Bangkok to Manila to Tokyo to Honolulu, then back to Los Angeles in 44 hours and 6 minutes. In 1800, you couldn't even get from New York to DC in those 44 hours. Between the years of 1857 and 1930, the time it took to cross the United States went from about 3 or 4 weeks to 1 day. Not only has the time of travel plummeted, but the accessibility has too. 46% of Americans will travel outside of the US in their lifetime. Adjusted for inflation, the average cost of domestic air travel in the US has dropped by more than 50% in just the last 30 years. 50 years ago, only 20% of Americans had ever flown on an airplane, but today, only 20% haven't. In some ways, this may be saddening. There's less to explore. There are pretty much no places left on Earth that are inaccessible to the average human being. One can travel to every continent, every ocean, every country with relative ease. However, this does mean that practically anyone with a thirst of adventure can visit every continent, ocean, or country. In the coming years, we will have even more to explore as we look up to the stars and leave Earth. We can already buy our tickets to go to outer space, and although it might not be feasible for the everyday human to buy their ticket now, just look how fast the price of air travel plummeted. By the end of our lifetimes, going to the moon might just be as easy as flying to Europe.